Manager Nina Beck, the monthly Facebook Live. Thank you for joining us. Greatly appreciate it. We actually just had snacks moments ago, so I just had some little Snickers bar, so it's quite tasty. Both the regular Snickers and then a peanut butter little Snickers bar. So I really I do love chocolate, so it was something that gives me pep. So if I'm incredibly energetic during this Facebook Live, that's probably why. So we've got a lot of things to discuss today, Nina. We've got a lot of stuff going on, but first and foremost, we're going to kick it off with our questions from the folks who view us online and get to our Facebook page, all that fun stuff. And the very first question that we got is, what are we doing to keep children safe in Gresham?
Yes.
So I'm going to pose that question for you.
Sure.
What are we doing in Gresham to keep children safe?
Yeah, safety is one of our top priorities as an organization, and it's certainly one of council's top priorities. It's community safety is actually one of our strategic plan priorities, so it is one of our top priorities. And over the last few years, council and our organization have made some really serious investments in safety to improve our efforts to keep the entire community safe, including children and youth. I'll talk about two of those in particular that have been really impactful and new for our community. And one is that we started our youth services division, which does a lot of really intentional youth violence prevention work. So working with children who might be exposed or might be at risk or danger of being close to those who are regularly committing some form of violence in our community, making sure we're interrupting that pattern and giving our youth an opportunity to engage in positive recreational experiences, engaging in positive mentorship experiences, and really trying to stop that recurring cycle that we see when youth are exposed primarily to other youth involved in violence. And that program has been going on now for quite some time, and they've done amazing work, and we've actually seen a reduction in shootings in our community. A lot of them were unfortunately youth involved because of the work that we've done. So that's been huge. And then also we have launched Safe Gresham. And Safe Gresham is our comprehensive approach to making sure that we are really tackling safety in our community holistically. So looking at prevention, intervention, and collaboration. And council has made some, like I said, significant investments, adding personnel, adding community safety specialists, officers, crime analysts, to make sure that we have the resources we need to really provide holistic safety to the community. And I would encourage people, if you want to learn even more, and that's a really quick overview, you can actually go to our website and look at Safe Gresham. You can see what we've done over the last few years. You can see the positions we've added, the new programs that we've stood up. There's been a lot done in the last few years to really improve safety in our community. And there's certainly more work to do, but I think we're heading in the right direction and we're making the right investments.
You know, so as you mentioned Safe Gresham, we look at prevention, intervention, and collaboration. Prevention and intervention are the hallmarks of our youth services program. I mean, when we think about some of the criminal activity that happens within communities, much of that starts because of disengagement of our youth. So that youth are, you know, they're not engaged in the positive things that really puts them on the right track. And that's that prevention side. Having the availability of various programming and various opportunities for the youth to be engaged. Furthermore, it's not just recreational, but it's also job training and things like that to keep them engaged in the positive side. So that prevention, the intervention part, how does that work when we're starting to talk not just about youth, but all across the community as we're looking at keeping our community safe?
Yeah, a great example of intervention is when something does occur, and I'll use the police department as an example. When there is an incident that occurs, how do we make sure that we're showing up and understanding what could be some repercussions of that incident that just occurred, and how do we intervene in the middle of that? How do we provide resources maybe to those who were connected to that act of violence, to the victims of the act of violence, and make sure that we are connecting with people to try to, once again, avoid the repercussions of that. Another example of intervention is working with our agency system partners. You know, safety is not just the Gresham Police Department, it's not just the Gresham Youth Services Division. We rely on a lot of system partners like the Sheriff's Office, our District Attorney's Office, a lot of other agencies who play a role in safety. And so making sure that when something does happen, we're connecting with them and we're on the same page about how do we make sure that we handle this and we work together to really tackle the problem that we're seeing.
Got it. So just a little bit more on this and then we'll transition to some other topics. But when we think about that intervention, I once heard that roughly 70 to 80% of violent crime in Multnomah County is retaliatory in nature. So what you're talking about, that intervention component, when something happens and our law enforcement, our individuals that work with our youth, and not just our youth, but other folks also included, they have an opportunity to kind of intervene at that point and somewhat decrease the probability of additional violence happening. And so that's that intervention component that you were just referencing. And again, if 70 to 80% of violent crime in Multnomah County, which we're in Multnomah County, is retaliatory in nature, then we've got an opportunity to diminish and decrease a lot of that traditional kind of follow-on violence that happens. So, it's great there. You talked about collaboration and how it expands well beyond just the concept of law enforcement. It's all of the wraparound comprehensive services that we look at. But, I'm going to jump to a topic that's right up against this and kind of talk about one of the things that we are struggling with, being able to put additional resources out in the community here in Gresham, not just on the police side, also on the fire side. And so when people ask, what are you doing? I think one of the bigger challenges will be, how do we continue to supply our community with the resources they need? And that brings us to the levy conversation. With the levy, we all know the levy failed by roughly about 2 percentage points. In the council now is going to kind of reevaluate and bring that back. Some of the questions that we're looking at there is, what are we going to be doing as a city to address kind of the financial challenges that we're looking at, and how do we ensure that we can fund the right amount of safety resources here in our community?
Yeah, absolutely. We can only do so much with, we say, the resources we have, which are people, right? At the end of the day, we provide services to our community. We are all human beings. We cannot all work 24/7. So we are really limited in what we can do. And, we have done amazing work over the last 2 years, I think, given the limited humans that we have in this organization and the limited capacity that we have. But at some point, we just simply need more. We can only do so much as human beings. We are working on leveraging technology as best we can. But at some point, we really do need more. And we've hit that point, right? That point isn't coming in the future. We have hit the point where we do need more resources. And, while we were all sad that the levy didn't pass in May, it is important that we continue to work on our financial sustainability, and council is committed to continuing to do that work. So council is going to be hearing next week a report from an organization that does kind of analysis of what happens in campaigns and in ballot initiatives, what could be done better, how do we better communicate what our needs are and what the challenges are. And hopefully that will inform some next steps for council on what we want to do moving forward. Because at the end of the day, we really do need more. We need to invest as a community in our community if we want to be successful in the long term and having a safe, thriving, and welcoming community for all.
Excellent. I know the council is very interested in going back out. I know the council is very interested with the right information, the right opportunity to really allow our community members to understand what's going on. But we've got to also think about, we talk about kind of the prevention, intervention, collaboration. Part of that collaboration component is ensuring that if something does happen in our community, we've got the ability to do investigations, opportunities to also do the follow-up things that allow us to understand what's going on with, and that's some of the things that we can't do as earnestly as we'd like to if we don't have the resources.
Yeah.
Now, along with those resources question, we do have another question from our community that we'll get back to here in just a second, but you just talked about technology and utilizing technology in ways that really extends our ability to do the things we need to do. And Gresham was the second city in the state to launch a drones as first responder program. Talk to us about what that's like. What it's about. What is a drone as a first responder?
Yeah, we're really excited to be the second in the state to have launched this, and really proud of the staff. This was, police staff idea. They had researched it. They had some experience with drones and said, hey, let's bring this technology to our community because we think it could do really important work. So big kudos to our police staff for working on this. But the idea is it's more than just, we have used drones for a long time as an organization on specific calls. When we need something, we will launch a drone and it will help on a call. Drones as first responders is different. Drones as first responders, a drone launches when there's a call for service. It will autopilot going 35 miles per hour, which is pretty quick, to the location. And once it gets there, then the driver of the drone, which is an officer, can determine what, based on the situation, what does it need to do with the drone. What that means is we have eyes on scene for an incident quicker than we ever have before, because they can get there quicker than an officer driving in a car, probably from another location, to the scene. So it gets its eyes quicker. We can track things as they're happening live and relay that information to our officers. It can also help us clear calls quicker. So if there's a minor traffic accident that we can go deploy to and see that an officer isn't needed, we can relieve them and they can go on another really important call where someone is really needing some help. So there's a lot of potential usefulness for this. It's still a pilot program for us. We are tracking the data to see what it's doing for us, how is it helping, but we're really excited about the potential of this program.
Excellent. That is absolutely exciting to hear. And the folks that fly these drones are considered pilots, of these drones. So it's super cool. Now I'm a pilot also. I actually fly single engine aircraft, but these folks are considered pilots who fly these drones. So they go through extensive training for all the things that they need to do to be able to fly these drones. But it's amazing that we can now leverage these types of technologies in very positive ways. And again, going back to that collaboration concept, there was a call recently where fire was assisted by the police drone because it was already up and about and was able to help and assist save some lives effectively. So it's really leveraging this technology, not just in the law enforcement side, but potentially beyond when we can do that. So I know there's some things that we have to work on to make it more efficient as a state, but I'm super excited about our opportunity to work with our community members to keep our community safe. Now, moving to the second question that we got from online, that second question was, how do we talk about some of the good economic things that are going on? And I know that's both of ours that we enjoy talking about, some of the things that are going on from an economic development perspective. I think we do a pretty good job of putting it out there, what's happening. But we'll start with some of the bigger projects that are going on. Just in the shadow of City Hall is going to be the new public library. It's going to be the flagship library here on the east side. I think it's 95,000 square feet. And the libraries of today aren't the libraries of the past. These aren't just depositories of books. This is really about engaging community, giving resources and access to resources, in ways that really encourages and enhances the experience for our community members. It's going to have a theater, or not necessarily a theater, but an auditorium, and maybe if we keep our fingers crossed, a rooftop event type of space, which sounds really, really cool. We've got a grand view of Mount Hood from that space. So it'd be really cool to see that. I think we actually have a photo, at least a rendering of the new library, if we could put that up. All right, you guys should be able to see that now. So we've got the rendering of the new library. So again, it's going to be a flagship library that we get to see. So that's a development piece that's coming. I think it's $135 million investment being made by Multnomah County. So super excited to have that level of development here, enhancing our community, sort of like a community center. But on the economic development side, we've also got a lot of activity going there. People are probably seeing dirt get turned over off of 242nd, just between Stark and Gleason. Large national facility going in there. Tell us about Granger. That's the new company that's going to have a location there.
Yeah, we're excited. Granger just broke ground. They're in the works and going to have hundreds of new jobs as a result of the new facility that they're going to be building here in Gresham. So we're excited. We continue to see major employers come into Gresham and increase our job base. I'll also add over the last fiscal year, we track how many jobs we have in Gresham year over year. We gained 1,000 jobs in the last fiscal year.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, so our economic development team and our partners across the region and the state do a fabulous job of continuing to increase the job base here in our community, because we know how critical it is that we have high quality, high paying jobs in our community for our people.
You know, and that's a question that we sometimes get from folks that live in and around our community. What's the benefit? What's the benefit of economic development? What's the benefit of new jobs? 1,000 jobs, that's a lot of jobs. I mean, I don't think folks can truly comprehend and understand how much of an impact that can have on a community, but 1,000 jobs is pretty significant. I know part of the contribution there is Microchip. Microchip is adding a lot of jobs there. I think total, once they get done with their build out, something like 600 jobs. So that's pretty substantial. But these jobs and this economic development brings family wage opportunities there, and which we will say it raises community wealth. And so average household incomes go up. We can make further investments in things like parks and infrastructure. All of these things get enhanced by having the jobs within our communities. There's another, I think, a kind of a tangential benefit that I don't think most people think about. We use a term called out-migration. And out-migration is when people leave a community on a day-to-day basis to go for work and other employment opportunities, and then they commute back in. That out-migration, historically, we've sent a lot of people out of the city of Gresham every single day to go to their jobs. The more we can locate jobs within our community, the less they have to commute. One of the biggest contributors to climate change are cars. Low occupancy vehicles like cars with only one rider in there. And so the better we can do economic development here, we can decrease what's going on from a climate change perspective by people not having to commute as far. And so that's a tangential benefit I don't think we always consider, but one of the direct benefits, of course, is that economic development benefit where we see higher wages for folks. They're able to afford, the rents and things like that, and just better able to take care of their families. And we're seeing that around our community. Overall household income is increasing, and average wages are increasing here in the Gresham metropolitan area. I like to call it the Gresham metropolitan area. So it's been very cool to see that over the last few years, that increase. And that's some of the benefits that we see. And I think another benefit that also doesn't get talked about is philanthropy. The greater community wealth exists, the better opportunities you have for philanthropy and folks donating to good causes. I think about the Center for the Arts. We've been talking about that for quite some time. We'd love to see a Center for the Arts actually get finished and developed here in Gresham, where you could go downtown, catch a concert, go out to eat, those types of things. All that enhances our community in very positive ways. But to get there, we can bring the jobs, but we also have to bring what we call workforce housing, middle housing. Talk to us about, are there any projects that we're seeing here on the east side, here in Gresham, when we're talking about housing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, housing is one of the biggest challenges, not just in Gresham, but really in our region. I think most people can recognize how expensive housing has gotten over the last few years. And what we see in Gresham that's not terribly unusual is there's a lot of really expensive single-family homes, and then there's the, I would say, somewhat affordable multifamily homes, and there's not a lot in the middle, right? And that's the missing middle that we talk about. Is it's really hard to go from first-time renter, first job, up to purchasing a single-family home in our community. That's a gap that we have. And so we have a lot of things in the works that are trying to address that. We have several affordable home ownership projects that council has approved and has been really enthusiastic about, where we're trying to put in place structures in single-family homes for people who are a first-time homeowner who might not traditionally, based on their financial circumstances, be able to go through a traditional mortgage process, with a more expensive home, trying to find that middle ground where we can encourage some more affordable home ownership. And we also do have some more market rate multifamily apartments going in as well, which there's always demand for. So those are just a few things that we have going on. But again, if you want to learn more, you can actually go to our website and look at the housing capacity analysis and the housing production study and they both talk in detail about what our housing gaps are and what we can do to address that, and how we can make sure that we have housing for all across the spectrum, for all types of people and for all kinds of income.
Got it. Wow, that was comprehensive. That was a lot of information that even my head is spinning. It's like, whoa, okay. Middle housing, got it. Missing middle, got it. We're doing things to make housing as affordable as can be. I mean, it's difficult because we all know that just the cost of everything has gone up, and so it's not easy to bring in affordable opportunities, but we're working on that. Let's just wrap up a little bit with when we think about development, we think about economic development. We've seen a lot of things going on in the urban renewal area, over in Rockwood, downtown Rockwood. There's a couple of projects that are still going on even as we speak. One that's completing, there's a multifamily and retail that's going on right in the triangle of downtown Rockwood. And then there's B188.
Yeah, you got it. And I think we might be able to pull up a picture.
B188.
Or the website for B188. Maybe, maybe not. That's all right.
I don't think we have that one available.
Okay, in my head we had a picture, but in my head there's a picture. I just wish you all could see it too. Yeah, so B188, which kind of sounds like a Star Wars, character.
It does.
Which I like.
It does.
But that is not what B188 is. It is actually a development happening in our Rockwood urban renewal area. It is a piece of land that the city is selling to a developer who's looking really to do this mixed-use development. It's still in the works exactly what it's going to look like, but it's going to be a great asset for the community. We've, through the whole urban renewal process, really been looking to ensure that we're making the right investments in the community, private, public partnerships in a lot of examples with other community partners, community organizations, to make sure that it's the right investments that serve the community. It's just not development for development's sake. It's development that's going to make sure that that community can thrive and has a place for itself. And B188 is the next piece of that. You can check out our website if you want to learn more, and stay tuned over the next few months as we continue to work on that project.
Excellent. Now, you said something about that I want to touch on that we sometimes get questions about. You referenced this idea and concept of building things that the community wants and needs. Well, one of the things that we sometimes get questions about is displacement. Because we were just talking about the cost of housing going up, and I know that this council is very concerned about potential displacement as many of these things develop. And how do we make sure that that's something that we are really focused on, so that we're not displacing historical families and folks that have lived in some of these areas as these things redevelop. So certainly that's a concern of the council, that's a concern of staff as we work through these things, and it's something that's going to stay at the forefront of all of these processes, is to ensure that we don't have a lot of displacement because everybody should have a place to call home. Now, we've been talking about a lot of great stuff, but many times a lot of this stuff doesn't happen without the right plan in place. One of the biggest things that I think we launched recently, and now we're moving forward, we've been at it for just over a year, is our strategic plan. We utilized a lot of great information, Imagine Gresham, just lots of engagement to come up with this strategic plan. And this strategic plan has lots of components to it. We also have an action plan that kind of guides the staff's operational activities on a year-by-year, month-by-month basis. But it's my understanding that folks don't have to kind of guess what we've got going on with our strategic plan.
That's right.
Because now, supposedly, we have a dashboard so that folks can actually see and keep track of what's going on. Is that true?
It is true, and I think we can pull that one up. We do have a dashboard, and thank you for that. It is really exciting to be able to have something on the website anyone can access at any time they want, that illustrates how are we working on achieving the goals in our strategic plan. And it shows you our success measures, where we are, how are we doing, where are we underperforming. We are trying to be as transparent as we can with the community about what our priorities are and how we're doing on them. So I'm glad we were able to show the dashboard. It highlights work we're doing in thriving economy, community safety, housing for all, community vibrancy, and more. So I encourage you to check it out. And in addition to the dashboard itself, on our website, we have the strategic plan document, And also the action plan you just referenced. It really is a staff action plan every year that details what exactly are we doing to achieve our goals, but it's also available online. So if you're curious what we're up to, what our priorities are, how we're trying to move the needle on all these great goals that we have, you can check out our website and learn a heck of a lot, which I think is really cool that any community member can access that and really quickly learn what exactly we're working on for the year.
So 2 words come to mind instantly when I hear everything that you just said: transparency and accountability. The opportunity for our community members to see exactly what we're working on, to know where the starting point is, to also understand where the ending point is, but not have to have guesswork on the in-between, because now they can track how things are being, how we're progressing towards the outcomes that they helped us identify. Furthermore, it's accountability. You know, what we say we're going to do, are we accomplishing that? And we know that every good plan is only as good until, you know, you launch and something, you know, doesn't go exactly as you identified. But the ability to have a strategic plan, a dashboard, all of the feedback is our ability to ensure that we're keeping our community informed. If something doesn't go exactly right, if we can't complete something exactly on timeline, then there's explanations for that. This is why. And so they've got an opportunity, again, to hold us as community leaders accountable. And that's something that I think, again, goes a long way for transparency and accountability. Now, speaking of transparency and accountability, I think we also have some other information that we now make available to our community members. And that's our new law enforcement dashboard.
Yes, we launched 2 dashboards at the
Two
same
dashboards at the
time.
same
So we
time.
talked about the strategic plan one. Now let's talk about the police transparency dashboard, which we also probably can pull up. And this provides live data of what is happening in the community. So if you want to know what incidents are going on, you can go and check that out, which I think is really cool. Not everybody has access to live data of what's happening in their community. So it's really neat. You'll also find on our police transparency dashboard a few other things that we get asked about a lot. One is our workforce demographics, and the other one is use of force incidents, which we also get asked about too. So those are currently our topic areas that you can explore on our dashboard. You can learn a lot more. You can zoom in on specific neighborhoods and see what's happening around you. So I encourage you to check out that dashboard as well. We're really excited to have launched that and really just provide more insight and transparency about what's happening in the community and also what's happening in our police department.
Wow. Nina, the staff, the team has been incredibly busy over the last 12 to 24 months, accomplishing a lot of things that we've set out to accomplish, and some that we continue to work on. I think about groundwater, I think about Graded Sports Park, I think about the Shaw property, I think about all of these things that we have been working on and just executing on. And also, we've got all of these projects going in parallel. So it's a lot of great work, and folks are wondering where are the good points of what's going on. Those are the good points. I mean, it's incredibly exciting. And I know of even another company that's getting ready to come to town. We don't have the final information, but it's going to get, I'm sure we're going to have the final information sometime soon. So we've got all of these tremendous opportunities, all of these new jobs, all of these family wage jobs that we'll be able to now have folks in our community live and work and play right here in Gresham as we continue to move forward as a community. So, as always, just want to thank you, Nina, for taking the time to come on to Facebook Live. And I also just want to thank our comms team, that's communications team. They're all back there right now looking at us. They do a phenomenal job in everything that they do. And we just greatly, greatly appreciate them for all that they do to help us out, make sure that we keep you informed of all things that are happening every single day, or at least on a monthly basis or bi-monthly basis here in the city of Gresham. And again, the things that we have going on, I think as community members, you can be very excited about as we continue to move forward. So with that, make sure you get us your questions and comments as we continue to move forward. Nina, anything that you'd like to say before we?
I mean, we can't end without talking about our drone naming contest.
Oh, drone naming
Yes.
contest. Oh, yes.
So, now that we have launched our pilot Drones as First Responders program, we're asking you, the community, to vote on the name that you like best, I think through Instagram. It's only open for 1 week, so people got to get on there quick.
Get on there
Options
quick.
include, are you ready? I don't
I'm
know.
ready.
I don't know. I wonder what our votes are going to be here. Dash, Enterprise, Velocity, or Drone 9, the drone version of the K9, if you will.
Got it.
Very cool. So check
Canine
out
of
our
the
Instagram.
skies.
Yeah,
Yes.
get on social media. Follow us. Vote for your favorite
Give us
drone
your
name.
vote. We absolutely want to We absolutely want to know what
Yes.
you would name the drone. I kind of like the Enterprise. I'm a huge
I kind of
Star
like
Trek
Drone
fan.
9 just because, you know.
That's kind of
Yeah.
nice too. But I'm a huge Star Trek fan.
That's
and,
fair.
the high school I went to, his name was Enterprise. So there you go.
All right.
With that, thank you all for joining us this wonderful afternoon. And as always, stay safe